everyone. Mike the Beast back at Cave Comics in Newtown, Connecticut. I'm with Jerry. Jerry, how's it going today?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. So we just said Terrificon about, over a month ago now. It's crazy how how fast time flies. Overall, how's Terrificon for you?
It was great. It was kind of right at the peak of all the bad news about the COVID variant and stuff. So I was a little nervous, but I was masked up the whole time, and you just once you get into the rhythm of it, you sit down initially and it's like, oh my God, here's all these people. We've been avoiding people for like a year or whatever. So after about an hour, it was just a convention, and you were just busy, and you just try to do everything fast and get people's books signed and stuff. So it was a convention, and it was well attended. People were polite, but until Sunday, there weren't a lot of masks on fans, But again, you can blame the official guidance, I was all for not dropping the mask mandates back in whenever it was May, because it felt like, well, what's it hurt to keep it going for a little bit, So, but I'm not a scientist.
But yeah, so with Terrificon coming and going, have anything else on the horizon? Conventions or projects you'd like to talk about?
I've been working on. I just put out. Actually, the one cool thing to me, I got Proton #2, my self-published. It's kind of like half sketchbook, half comic. I finished that up and had it printed in time for Terrificon, and I've been promoting it a little bit. I'll be at Baltimore Con if all things work out okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be Baltimore. I think is mid-October or third week of October, I think, but I'm not even sure. And at this point I'm doing some commissions in advance of that, which is an easier way than having like a big list and have they just can't draw at a show anymore because there's too many books to sign.
True.
Everybody's got the CGC witnesses and things, and it's a little overwhelming, and but it is what it is. I mean, cons have kind of changed over the years anyways.
Yeah, very true.
I don't know if you saw there was some coverage of, I forget which con, if it was Mitch's con, but there was an article or a podcast that was shared with me, and I was kind of surprised. This person was talking about old school cons, and I was thinking, like, you just spent 15 minutes talking about old school cons, and you didn't mention Artist Alley at all. And that's old school con, is that, that's what conventions were built on. Were built on mostly retailers setting up, selling comics, and artists sitting and doing sketches and, whatever for people. So it's like that. It's not cosplay. Cosplay is a nice addition to it. And the same as the movie actors or getting, movie actors or celebrities or whatever. That's relatively new. So I just thought that was funny, and again, it shows how quickly people forget, or their knowledge doesn't go back that far either.
Yeah.
They might only know New York Con or San Diego Con, where they have to spend big bucks to bring in some movie actor for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We're there all 3 days.
I know. With the conventions, and you mentioned commissions, were there any characters you saw a lot being requested, or is it kind of just the usual that you get, every convention?
Yeah, I used to get unusual ones, mostly Shazam. JSA characters are big. It's not, I think it's funny, when I first started doing sketching again at shows, it was back in 2013, I think, and I noticed that people initially I was getting like really weird, not weird, but just characters that I had even barely knew. And then like it goes in weird waves, because one year I did a bunch of shows, and I did a couple in Massachusetts, I did a couple in New Jersey, just going hanging out with my pal Mitch. And while I was at these shows, I think that within a period of 3 months, I did 3 or 4 Hawkeye sketches. And I'd never drawn Hawkeye except as a kid, because he was part of the Avengers that I grew up with, So I had very little experience, and that's hard when you're at a convention and suddenly it's like, wait, how does that bow and arrow work? So hopefully nobody takes you to task for, but the bow and the thing is on the other end of the, So, but no, generally it's they want what I'm known for. So it's Shazam or Superman or a JSA, whatever. Yeah.
Gotcha.
People are predictable.
Now, the last few months, we've had some great comic book related TV. Superman and Lois, Stargirl, Titans, and then you have the Marvel,
Yeah.
Loki and What If. What are your thoughts on everything spoiler free?
Spoiler free. Well, I really liked Superman and Lois. I thought they won me over. I think I told you last time we talked too. It definitely won me over, and I was pleased to find that they were doing kind of stories. We're doing the Eradicator storyline
Yeah.
from our Superman stuff from about 1991 maybe. Stargirl just started, and they introduced Jade from Infinity Inc., and that's not a spoiler. I mean, they definitely promoted it.
Yeah.
But they put a title card at the beginning of the second episode, which kind of cracked me up. It said, "The Ordway School for Children" or something, and then they even name-checked the lady who's kicking Jade out at night from this kind of orphanage type. She's like, "I'm sorry, we don't have room. Someone else is going to take your bed." And it was, "Oh, well, that's okay, Mrs. Ordway." And I was amused by that. But I also felt like, when you see something like that, I'm not in it alone. I feel like it could have easily been the Thomas, for Roy Thomas, Mike Macklin, Ordway, or name check one of the other people within that. I mean, Jeff did it because Jeff and I have been, friends for years, so I'm sure that's the thing. But yeah, it's fun, at least because they don't give you credit like when they use a character individually on a show. As long as it's something like, if it's a TV title character, then the creator will get credited, but otherwise they just show up and then you go, "Oh, cool, there's Jade, there's Nuklon," or whatever. But if you watched all the Disney ones.
Yes, Disney did not recently watch the most recent What If, but saw the
Yeah, I
first
haven't
two.
either yet.
And then, all Wanda, Loki, and Falcon Winter Soldier.
One that nobody's talking about, which was actually I thought was really great, was the MODOK, and it was on Hulu.
Yeah.
MODOK was really fun. I enjoyed that one a lot. It's very adult, but I didn't hear a lot of people talking about it, and I was just kind of surprised because I thought it was one of the best. I mean, it was in that there's millions of fans who love the Deadpool movies. It had that kind of vibe. Did you see it?
Just watched the first episode. We've been trying to catch up with everything going on now, but Patton Oswalt's great.
Yeah. It was just that it had that kind of anything goes kind of,
Yeah.
and it was the Robot Chicken guys too,
Yeah.
so it had that kind of crazy humor, and those shows were great. So I enjoyed that. I hope it gets a second season. But otherwise, there's so many shows on that it really does become kind of not a chore, but you really go, "Oh wait, is that starting already, or is that?" I mean, you have to keep up with stuff.
Yeah. I'm behind on Titans. I've only watched parts of season 1, so I'm, kind of trailing on that.
That
as well.
one I watched because my daughter doesn't have any interest in it, so we've been, with like Stargirl, the other ones we kind of watch together. But with Titans, I'm on my own, so I just, at night, sitting in the studio, I just put an episode on when it pops, because I think they're doing them on Thursday. And I liked it. It's not my cup of tea as far as what I would, it's definitely more violent than what I would be doing if I was doing a comic or something. So I mean, it's definitely that it's in the Jeff Johns' Titans run basically, but it still plays with some of the older elements. But yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's not even if you keep up with just those shows, then you wind up going like, why am I getting Amazon or why am I getting Netflix? Because I haven't had time to go check out whatever is new there either. I thought Suicide Squad was great.
Yeah.
I saw that. Mitch and I saw that in the theater, and then I watched it with my daughter like 2 days later on HBO Max. We saw what did we see? We saw Black Widow. I guess Shang-Chi is out next week.
Next week already.
Yeah. So I mean, once the floodgates open, I was thinking about how many movies are in production. Black Adam wrapped filming. You have Shazam that's like filming,
Yeah.
or started filming. You have Batman is completed. You have there's definitely another DC one, and Aquaman is filming.
Yeah.
But then you have this whole slew of Marvel ones that are filming in some different state, and you're like, wow, it's been held back, and now it's going to be like a superhero movie pretty much every month or something, for the next year.
Yeah, you have Eternals after Shang-Chi, and then Spider-Man
Right.
after that, and then also I still have a DC one, Flashpoint.
Oh,
'cause,
right. They're
keep,
filming that one too. Yeah,
so,
it's kind of nuts. But again, it'll be a make or break moment. Nobody can control the shutdowns or people being comfortable being in a movie theater. And that's that you. My daughter and I went to see Free Guy on Tuesday, and the theater, as it usually used to be, if you go on a matinee or an off day or whatever, you usually sit by yourself anyways. So I didn't really have any concerns. We masked up except when we were eating popcorn. But Free Guy was very, very fun. It was, not a comic book movie, it's a gaming movie kind of, but they really did a good job with, I guess the subtext, like a movie subtext is like what it's really about behind the scenes kind of, and they did a really nice job. It's kind of like about ordinary people being able to want to do something extraordinary or whatever. It was quite good.
Yeah, that's on my list to see. It's just before all the slew of Marvel and DC come out. So yeah, Jerry, looking at you mentioned you got Baltimore coming up, and if people are interested in commissions, is there still time for them to reach out to you?
I probably will put the call out, but I usually, again, I'm try to do as many as I can.
Yeah.
But I have other stuff to do too.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but if anybody who's got a yard, the grass has been growing like crazy, and I keep looking at house projects that I was very ambitious about in the spring. I was working on my house and doing the restaining it, and I made it through 2 sides, and they were tough ones, like a lot of labor, because I have eaves and all kinds of. So you have to scrub it down first because it's raw wood. But I have the one side that everybody sees when they come to the house that I have. It's like half done. It was started 3 years ago, and now I'm just gonna have to do it all over. But I just keep thinking, wow, you start seeing leaves falling in the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
The cool nights. It's next thing you know, you won't have time to do it because we'll be too busy raking leaves or blowing leaves around or something. So that has nothing to do with comics, but it's like I do all that myself. I mean, that's the only way I can afford to live in my neighborhood. Really, is to keep up the house myself. So, but I keep thinking of plotting stories.
Awesome.
I plotted on one of my bad days when I was having an internet problem pile on. I was really kind of depressed, and I went to the store, and on the way home from the grocery store, I'm sitting in a car and I'm thinking, wow, I just have an idea for the next Proton story, which I had done a little bit of work on, but I had like this very complete segment that I went, oh my God, that feels like I planned this 20 years ago. So I came home, ate dinner, and then immediately sat down and started like writing out what I remembered, and some of it changed a little bit, but I basically got like, about 12 pages of plot done on that, which was kind of cool. And that's how it happens. So it's like it elevated my mood. So I was going from being kind of bummed out because of internet stuff, and then I was suddenly like, wait. And it's not, any of the story isn't even related to any of that. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get revenge on these people. It was more like, wow, one thing popped up because I saw a house as I was driving past the, grocery store. I looked and there's this beat up house, and I thought, I remember when that house was lived in, and now it's like, within the space of a couple years, it looks like it's not burned down or whatever, but it's all fallen apart. And I went, oh, there's my story. It's a time bridge, looking at a house that's burnt apart or torn apart, and then flashing 20 years ago to when people were there. And so it was like just something that pops in your head, and a lot of times you don't remember them.
Yeah.
So you have to write them down, or you have to figure out some way to write a stupid note that'll.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing about any of that creativity. I mean, a lot of stuff, it's floating around. You just have to go grab it when it floats past you. You got to grab it, and sometimes it's not even like a fully formed thing, but you'll grab it and you'll be able to go, well, that starts me out, and then I'm suddenly going, So I was very excited. But again, the problem is I don't have time to do that if I'm doing commissions.
Yeah.
It's really hard to switch gears because it's just a different, it's like the difference between doing pinup shots and doing actual storytelling. It's very different, and it uses your brain differently, and it's more labor intensive in a lot of respects. but it was exciting anyway, so that was a good thing about the week.
Awesome, awesome. Jerry, can't wait to see when that comes out. And once again, Jerry, as always, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.